This morning, less than 24 hours before Americans choose their new president, Kamala Harris blitzing the swing state of Pennsylvania. Donald Trump exploiting fears of illegal immigration as he holds a rally in North Carolina. A criminal court hearing begins over the Tasmanian jumping castle tragedy that killed 6 primary school students. And tributes for music producer Quincy Jones, who worked with the likes of Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson.
This is 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Good morning. It's the final sprint to the finish line in the US presidential election. There are less than 24 hours to go before polls open. Marley Hogan is in Pennsylvania, one of the swing states that could hold the key to victory. Marley, Kamala Harris has a number of rallies there today.
And good morning, she does. Her decision to solely spend Election Day in one state highlights how critical she believes the outcome in Pennsylvania will be in the overall outcome of this election. She has been visiting 4 different cities across this state today, and she will end here in Philadelphia. She has really stuck to the same messaging in her stump speech, but she has made one noticeable change. She has stopped referring to her rival Donald Trump by name.
We are ready for a president who understands that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down. It is based on who you lift up. We are fighting for a democracy, which is why I say that I am not going to be a leader who thinks that people who disagree with me should be put in jail.
Kamala Harris is due to appear in Pittsburgh shortly. She'll then make her way here to Philadelphia. The crowds are already gathering. There are already warm-up acts on stage trying to warm up this crowd before Kamala Harris comes here and delivers her final campaign speech. And
Marley Hogan live in Pennsylvania. Thanks very much, Marley. Now to Tim Lester at the Palm Beach Convention Centre in Florida. Tim, the former US president is sowing doubt about the result even before the election has been held.
Good morning, Anne. He is, and it's making for a very nervous last 24 hours in this election for Americans. Behind me, the Palm Beach County Convention Centre. It's here Republicans will come in about 24 hours, hoping to join with Donald Trump and celebrate one of the unlikeliest political comebacks of them all. Unimaginable almost 4 years ago as Donald Trump left the White House after January 6th that he really could be US president for another term, and we're on the precipice of that tonight with polls simply unable to meaningfully separate him and his rival Kamala Harris and give us any good clue as to which is running in front at the moment. 4 rallies from Donald Trump today, North Carolina, 2 through Pennsylvania, and he'll finish up tonight, as he's done in other campaigns, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, selling many ideas, but one of them is that he believes that there has been cheating in the election, that the Democrats are already cheating. There is no evidence to suggest this, but given he's raised it so many times, there's a feeling among many that it might be used if he loses tomorrow night to claim here that the election has again been stolen from him. Here he was speaking earlier in Philadelphia.
If we win Pennsylvania, not me, if we win Pennsylvania, we win the whole ball of wax. It's over. We're just one day away from what will be the most important political event in the history of our country. But you have to get out. We have to vote. Just show up and vote. I'd love to, really, what we should do is swamp them. Just swamp them tomorrow.
After that Grand Rapids, Michigan effort tonight, the rally there, he'll come back here to Palm Beach. We expect him to vote with former First Lady Melania tomorrow, and then who knows what in the convention centre tomorrow night. Anne.
Tim Lester joining us live from Florida. Thanks a lot, Tim. Criminal proceedings have begun over Tasmania's Hillcrest primary school tragedy that saw 6 children die in a jumping castle disaster. The owner of the company that operated the jumping castle is facing court in Devonport. Nick Kelly is there.
It's been almost 3 years since a day few people, particularly here in Tasmania, will forget. A jumping castle and several zorb balls lifted into the air by a strong gust of wind at an end-of-year celebration at Hillcrest Primary School in Devonport. Jalila Jane Marie Jones, Zane Mellor, Alison Stewart, Jai Sheehan and Peter Dodd died in the incident. 3 others were seriously injured. Today begins a 2-week trial. Rosemary Gamble, who traded as Tabzorb, the company running the inflatables, has pled not guilty to a charge of failing to comply with a health and safety obligation. A number of expert witnesses will be called with in-depth testimony from engineers and weather experts. We're also expecting to hear from the Chinese manufacturers of the jumping castle. A major question will be whether the inflatable was properly secured as per instructions. There's a great deal of interest in this case, and the courtroom here in Devonport is only small, so streams are being provided for members of the family, the public and the media in a conference room inside this building, as well as a conference centre nearby.
Rescue crews continue their search to find an 11-year-old boy swept out to sea on the Central Coast. The family fishing trip took a tragic turn when the boy lost his footing while crossing a notorious channel at the entrance on Sunday afternoon. It sparked a major search operation from the land, sea and air. Nurses at a privately run hospital in Sydney are holding work stoppages today. The nurses and midwives at the Northern Beaches Hospital are demanding a 15% one-year increase and mandated patient ratios. Because it's a private hospital, government staffing reforms don't apply, even though they also offer public services. ABC bosses will face a Senate grilling this morning over allegations they deliberately doctored audio when documenting an Australian military operation in Afghanistan. Live to our political reporter Isabel Mullen. Izzy, good morning. The ABC has already missed important deadlines.
It has, Anne. Good morning. The public broadcaster had promised to release the findings of an independent review into how and why this happened by October, but that date has already passed. Today, ABC's news director Justin Stevens will appear before the Senate with 3 other members of staff, but because that deadline has passed, the Senate actually won't be able to refer to the finer details of that report. It comes after 7 Spotlight revealed altered or doctored audio had actually been added into a 7:30 report about an Australian-led operation in Afghanistan in 2012, an operation conducted by Australian soldiers, including Heston Russell. That story went to air. It had 6 gunshots in it, while the original footage only had 1. So senators say really serious questions need to be asked as this issue goes to the heart of credibility at the ABC. The ABC still insists recommendations from this review will be made public. Those bosses will face the Senate in 15 minutes. Anne.
Isabel Mullen in Canberra. Thank you, Izzy. A sellout crowd is expected at Flemington Racecourse this afternoon, with tens of thousands of punters packing the stands for the Melbourne Cup. Enthusiastic racing fans arrived early at the gates, as Tegan Dolling reports.
90,000 racegoers are expected here at Fleming today. Sell-out crowd for the general admission. A lot of extra trains and trams have been put on to make sure everybody gets here safely for the 164th Melbourne Cup. Now this year, just a 23-horse race because we had that late scratching overnight of Athabascan. Chris Waller's horse, a Buckaroo, is the favourite to take out the Melbourne Cup. A lot of celebrities have flown in, especially to be in that fancy part in the birdcage. Sir Bob Geldof, Liz Hurley is here with her son Damien, so too is Nikki Hilton. And of course, if you're not here for obviously the races and the horses, then you might be here for the fashion.
It's bright, it's beautiful, it's avant-garde. Melbourne Cup, I think, is some of the best fashion in the world.
And Melbourne has certainly turned on the weather today. We are looking at not a cloud in the sky at the moment, at a top of 25 degrees, perfect for the race that stops the nation.
Thanks, Tegan. Next in 7 News, a man fighting for life after being shot in Melbourne's southeast, and the death of Quincy Jones, the producer behind some of the biggest hits and names in the music business. Arsonists have set cars on fire in Sydney's southwest. Just after midnight, 2 cars went up in flames in the driveway of a house in Green Valley. The house itself was also damaged before firefighters were able to extinguish the blaze. There have been no arrests so far. A 36-year-old man is fighting for life after being shot in Melbourne's southeast. As Tara Stowers reports, police are searching for the gunman.
Well, police are hunting a gunman after a man was shot and taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. He was found with gunshot wounds at around 7 p.m. near Amata Crescent in Frankston. A large part of the street was cordoned off for hours, with some locals unable to actually get into their homes after police told them to go inside and lock their doors. It's very early stages of this investigation, and police are trying to work out the circumstances surrounding exactly what unfolded. Now, officers say they don't believe this incident is gang-related or linked to the fatal shooting in North Melbourne last week.
It's very scary. It seems to happen a lot these days, unfortunately.
At this stage, we can tell you no arrests have been made, but this home behind me has been blocked off since early this morning.
A 2-year-old boy is lucky to have escaped serious injury after being bitten by a deadly brown snake in his family's backyard. As Hayden Nelson reports, it's a reminder that snake season is here.
Well, 2-year-old Ezra was playing in the backyard of his family's home in Port Wakefield when he was bitten on the foot by an eastern brown snake. He doesn't know a lot of words, but it's lucky he'd been brushing up on his reptiles, because when he felt that sharp pain in his foot, he ran inside and said to his mum, "Snake, snake, snake." It's all that took for his mum to make a call to 000. A rescue helicopter was flown from Adelaide as she burst into tears.
I said to Ezra, "Now where did it get you?" I cried. I was shaking. To have that thought of my son is going to die, you know, we're just about to lose our little man, there's no words to describe that.
There were some very nervous moments there for Mum Miranda as well as Ezra as he was flown to the Women's and Children's Hospital. He was checked over by doctors who cleared the snake bite, saying it was a dry bite. This happens in many snake bites where no poison is injected. It's simply a warning bite from the snake. But with snake season afoot, parents are encouraged to teach their children about the reptiles. It could be as easy as simply reading them a book.
At least 10 people have died in Indonesia after a series of volcanic eruptions on the remote island of Flores. The eruption of Mount Luatobi spewed thick ash and sent lava down the mountain, and local villagers were evacuated. Several homes and a Catholic convent were damaged. To Finance Now, joining us today, Matt Bowen from ING Bank. Matt, good morning. The Reserve Bank is expected to keep rates on hold when it meets this afternoon.
Good morning, and that's right. The Reserve Bank meeting this afternoon at 2:30 to deliver an update on the cash rate here in Australia. No change is expected today, but it is marking 12 months since the RBA hiked its interest rates on Melbourne Cup Day in 2023. If we look at the local markets here, well, we've really followed the direction of the US overnight. Wall Street fell quite considerably. The Dow Jones lost around 200 points as the pending presidential election made for a pretty choppy session in the US. Here in the ASX is trading around 8,119. It's down about 45 points this morning. Look, locally we're seeing the resignation of Domino's CEO Don Meij. He's been at the helm for 22 years, so Domino's shares down around 5% in trading this morning. We're also watching Guzman and Gomez quite closely. Their sales have exceeded expectations that they put forward in their IPO earlier this year, so they're performing quite well at the moment. Currently, and the Aussie dollar is buying around 65.84 US cents.
Thanks very much, Matt. Legendary music producer Quincy Jones has died. Jones worked with stars including Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson. Some of his greatest achievements were with Jackson on his Off the Wall, Thriller and Bad albums. According to his publicist, he died on Sunday night at his home in Bel Air, Los Angeles, surrounded by his family. Jones was 91 years old. Next in 7 News, we'll have sport with Liam Tapper, including a shock scratching reduces the Melbourne Cup to 23 runners. And Pat Cummins comes to the rescue for the Aussies in the opening one-dayer against Pakistan.
The most historic US election in our lifetime. Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. The first female president or the comeback of the century. With Seven's correspondents live across America, led by Michael Usher and Angela Cox, with Natalie Barr live from the White House. Hold on tight. Anything can happen. The only place to watch history unfold is on 7.
Good morning. The Melbourne Cup is down to 23 runners after John O'Shea's runner Avabaskan failed a Victoria Racing vet exam due to heart problems. A whopping 1,600 part owners are living the dream with Gay Waterhouses just fine. Construction worker Mel Metzke is one of them.
It's just unbelievable. It is a fairy tale. An ad comes up for my racehorse and you just Google it, is this real? A couple of months later, here we are chatting with Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott.
Chris Waller's Buckaroo and UK Raider Vauban share the favouritism. In Sydney, the feature race is the $3 million Big Dance. Jockey Regan Bayliss won the race last year on a tractable and hopes to do it again on Michael Friedman's Ducasse, who booked his spot with a win on Everest Day.
He did it the hard way as well. He sat sort of 3 wide from about the 1,000 and covered ground and was still tough right through the line. So, as I said before, I think he's in with a great chance.
Our live and free racing coverage from Randwick begins straight after the news. Skipper Pat Cummins guided the Aussies to a nervy 2-wicket victory in the one-day series opener against Pakistan at the MCG. Chasing 203, the hosts were cruising at 2 for 113, but Steve Smith's departure for 44 triggered a worrying collapse. From 7 for 155, Cummins steadied the ship with an unbeaten 32, getting the Aussies home by 2 wickets.
With so much control, he gets Australia over the line once again with the bat.
Tonight we got it done. I always much prefer sitting in the change room. I think for 3/4 of it, really good. Just trying to tighten up that, particularly, try and find some partnerships.
Game 2 is on Friday in Adelaide. The Kangaroos say they're ready to play in front of a red sea of Tongan supporters in Sunday's Pacific Championships final. The Aussies know they're in for a brutal battle against a Tongan side that boasts one of the most imposing forward packs ever to be assembled in Test Rugby League.
We're not sort of naive enough to, say that hang on, we keep hanging in there, they're going to fall apart. But that's not the case anymore. We've got 80 minutes of really hard work in front of us.
CommBank Stadium is set to be packed with passionate Tongan supporters. The New Zealand Breakers remain top of the NBL ladder after hammering Melbourne United by 33 points to make it 3 wins on the bounce.
He's bouncing!
Davison, who delivers.
The Breakers have won 6 of their opening 8 games. Melbourne City have won 2 of their opening 3 A-League games after taking down the winless Western United 1-0. Shortly after the goal, Andrew Naboo was taken off with a knee injury. In the Premier League, Fulham trailed Brentford late until substitute Harry Wilson flicked home a 92nd minute equaliser.
There it is. How he diverted it in, only he really knows.
Wilson struck again in the 98th minute to seal a 2-1 win that lifts the Cottagers up to 9th on the table. And as a Fulham fan myself, I'd love to keep talking about that, but
something else is happening today.
I need to get your tip for the Melbourne Cup. Who is it?
Oh, anything with Chris Waller's name next to it, don't you reckon? Buckaroo? What do you think?
I'm with you, Buckaroo. A favourite hasn't won for over a decade, though.
All
so
right. We might be in trouble then.
It could be.
See you, Liam. Next in 7's Morning News, we'll have the national weather forecast for you.
Day in the US, Natalie Barr is there for this historic election day as America heads to the polls. Plus, British beauty icon Trini Woodall live. Her new magic formula for turning back the clock. Start with sunrise.
Well, this is possibly the most Aussie marriage proposal we've ever seen. Melanie loves Bunnings so much, her partner Jeff popped the question via the loudspeaker at their local store in Logan, Queensland.
So I'm there at Bunnings every week, and he was just doing it just right for me.
The couple are now happily planning their wedding. To the national weather now. In Brisbane today, a possible shower, a top of 32 degrees. Sydney will be cloudy and 21. Canberra, cloud clearing, a top of 27. Melbourne, a sunny and warm day, 26 degrees. Hobart, mostly sunny and 22. Adelaide, a shower or two, 30. Perth, a shower or two and 22. And Darwin, 35 degrees. And that's 7 News to Now. We'll keep you up to date throughout the day. I'm Ann Sanders. Thanks for your company. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye for now.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want. Download now.